Hello, everyone, and welcome. It's truly good to have you here. Today, we're diving into a crucial and complex topic that could reshape the political landscape of the Middle East. After decades of conflict, a major group is withdrawing its fighters, raising crucial questions about lasting peace and political transition in a volatile region. This is a moment of significant change, and understanding it means looking closely at history, current events, and future hopes. For many years, the Kurdistan Workers Party, known as the PKK, has been a central player in the story of the Middle East. They have been engaged in an armed struggle against the Turkish state. Their main goal has been to achieve greater rights and, at different times, even an independent homeland for the Kurdish people within Turkey. This conflict has been incredibly long and difficult, stretching over 4 decades. It has tragically resulted in the loss of more than 40,000 lives. It has left deep wounds and complex challenges for everyone involved. For a long time, the PKK has been labelled as a terrorist group by Turkey, the United States, and the European Union. This classification has heavily shaped how the group is viewed and how the conflict has been handled on an international level. Now, we are seeing a truly remarkable and potentially historic development. The PKK has officially announced its decision to withdraw its fighters from Turkish territory. These fighters are now moving to the mountainous regions of northern Iraq. This is not just a small, tactical movement of troops, it is a profound declaration. It signifies a significant shift away from armed resistance and towards a new path. This withdrawal is happening as a key part of a new peace agreement with the Turkish state. This agreement aims to allow the PKK to move into democratic politics. It's a huge step. This movement away from armed conflict means opening doors for dialogue and negotiation. It could lead to a future where political solutions replace violence. This is something that many people have hoped for over a very long time. The PKK has taken these steps unilaterally. This means they are acting first without waiting for Turkey to act. They laid down their arms at a ceremony in Silamania in northern Iraq a few months ago. They have even done symbolic acts like burning some of their weapons. These actions are meant to show their serious commitment to peace. They want to show that they are ready to end the armed struggle. This shows a deep desire for peace from their side. The PKK believes these steps will pave the way for a lasting peace. They hope it will lead to a new era for Kurdish people in Turkey. However, the path to peace is never simple. It's often said that it takes two to tango. In this situation, the PKK has made many moves. Now, all eyes are on Ankara, the capital of Turkey. There is a strong expectation that Turkey must now match the PKK's efforts. This means Turkey needs to take concrete actions. Specifically, Turkey is expected to create new legal frameworks. These frameworks would officially recognize Kurdish rights. They would also allow Kurdish people to participate fully in politics. This is a crucial point for the peace process. Without these reciprocal steps from Turkey, the PKK's unilateral disarmament might not lead to the lasting peace everyone hopes for. Let's talk about the specific demands. These are not just wishes, many see them as fundamental rights. One of the most important demands is the release of Abdullah Öcalan. He is the imprisoned leader of the PKK. He is seen as the chief negotiator and the person who initiated this peace process. It seems absurd to many that he remains imprisoned while peace talks are happening. His freedom is seen as essential for moving the negotiations forward. Beyond Öcalan, there are calls for a general amnesty. This would allow former PKK members to rejoin society without fear of punishment. This is important for their full transition into democratic politics. There are also calls for the liberation of the Kurdish language. This means recognizing it and allowing its use freely in education and public life. Finally, there is the demand for official recognition of Kurdish identity. This means accepting Kurds as a distinct group with their own culture and heritage within Turkey. However, fulfilling these demands is not easy for Turkey. There are significant challenges. Within Turkish politics, there is often strong resistance from ultra-nationalist groups. These groups often oppose any concessions to Kurdish demands. Turkish politics can also be very populist. This means leaders sometimes make decisions based on what is popular with certain groups, rather than what is best for a long-term peace process. For many years, there has been a strong, often negative discourse against Kurds. They have sometimes been criminalized. This makes it difficult to build consensus for peace. Many people in Turkey have been taught to view the PKK and even Kurdish political parties with suspicion. So, changing this public opinion and building support for peace is a huge task for the government. Despite these challenges, what motivates the Turkish government to engage in this process? President Erdogan and the Turkish state have several reasons. Domestically, the Kurdish vote is very important. Kurdish people make up a significant portion of Turkey's population, nearly 20%. Their votes can be decisive in elections, especially in major cities like Ankara and Istanbul. Without Kurdish support, it can be very hard to win elections or even form a government. Some also believe President Erdogan might be looking for early elections to extend his time in office. To do this, he would need parliamentary support, which could involve Kurdish members of parliament. Beyond domestic politics, Turkey is also adapting to changing regional circumstances. The situation in Syria, especially with the emergence of Kurdish-led forces like the SDF in Rojava, has changed the balance of power. The Turkish state and its military are trying to find a new response to these geopolitical shifts. The regional instability, especially after events like October 7th, makes stability within Turkey even more crucial. A peaceful resolution with the PKK could reduce internal tensions and allow Turkey to focus more on external challenges. This larger regional context is a major factor driving Turkish current approach to the Kurdish issue. The timeline for Turkish action is also important. There is an expectation that Turkish Parliament might take initiative in November. They could provide specific legislation to enable former PKK members to join the political and social life. If this doesn't happen by December, when budget negotiations start, the process might be delayed until next spring. Delays can be dangerous. They can lead to provocations and setbacks. So there is a strong call for the government to act quickly. Now, let's address the big question. Has the dream of an independent Kurdish homeland truly faded? For many years, the stereotype has been that all Kurds everywhere want an independent state. But this is actually not entirely true today. If you look at Iraqi Kurdistan, for example, the main political parties there do not ask for full independence. They ask for a democratic, federal, and pluralistic Iraq where Kurds are treated equally. In Syria, the Syrian Democratic Forces, or SDF, want a democratic setup within Syria. Their leader has often spoken about the unity and territorial integrity of Syria, while also seeking equal treatment for all its people. Even the PKK itself dropped the slogan of full independence many decades ago. Their focus has shifted. Today, for most Kurds, the goal is to achieve democratic rights, cultural recognition, and political autonomy within the existing states where they live. They understand that borders are not easily changed. They want to be treated equally to other citizens in their countries. This means having their language, culture, and identity recognized. It means having a fair say in their own governance. This shift from seeking an independent state to pursuing rights and autonomy within existing frameworks is a key development in Kurdish politics across the region. What does this mean for the various Kurdish groups in Iraq and Syria? Peace between the PKK and Turkey would have a very positive impact across the region. The largest number of Kurds live in Turkey, so whatever happens there has a big effect on Kurds in other countries. For example, success in Turkey could open doors for understanding between the government in Damascus and the Syrian Democratic Forces in Syria. It could also bring more stability to Iraqi Kurdistan. For years, Iraqi Kurdistan has been a battleground between the PKK and Turkey. Peace would mean less conflict and allow many people to return to their homes and normal lives. Is the PKK united in this peace process? So far, the PKK has shown unity. Its members have followed the requests of their leader, Abdullah Öcalan. We have not heard strong voices of opposition from within the group. However, whether this unity lasts depends heavily on Turkey's actions. If Turkey treats this as a surrender of criminals rather than a genuine peace process, then fragmentation or the emergence of new armed groups could become a risk. But if Turkey takes real legal steps to solve the Kurdish issue once and for all, then most Kurds would support that. Any smaller groups opposing peace would likely be rejected by the broader Kurdish population, who are eager for stability. Turkey sits at a very important crossroads of Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. What does this peace process mean for Turkey's relations with other global powers, like the United States, the European Union, and Russia? This is a crucial question. The conflict in Syria has often strained relations between the US and Turkey. Making peace with the PKK could significantly improve US-Turkey ties, especially if it leads to greater stability in northern Syria. The European Union would also be very happy. Peace and stability in Turkey, a country bordering Europe, is beneficial for the entire continent. It helps an important NATO ally. Russia's reaction might be different. Instability in Turkey and among the Kurds in the region can sometimes create opportunities for Russia to play a larger role in the Middle East. So, progress towards peace might not be entirely welcomed by Russia. Overall, resolving this internal conflict would be a huge step for Turkey's global standing and its ability to act as a stable regional power. Finally, what leverage do the Kurds have if Turkey does not reciprocate? It's important to understand that the Kurds' power today is not mainly about armed struggle anymore. They have a very large and politically organized population in Turkey. Political parties representing Kurds have significant influence. They control many local municipalities. The Kurdish vote is incredibly important and often decisive in Turkish elections. Without their votes, it's hard for any party to win major cities or even national elections. This gives them significant political power and leverage. Beyond Turkey, Kurds are also key players in Syria. Their role there, militarily, diplomatically, and politically, is central to any future for Syria. This emerging political and diplomatic power, rather than armed struggle, is what gives Kurds strength. They can put a lot of pressure on Turkey through political means. The circumstances are changing, and Turkey needs to adapt. This is a moment of deep complexity and profound opportunity for peace in the Middle East. The PKK's withdrawal is a bold step, but true peace requires reciprocal action from Turkey. The stakes are incredibly high, not just for Kurds and Turks, but for the stability of the entire region. We will continue to watch how this historic process unfolds. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe for more content. For more in-depth analysis on global affairs, subscribe to White Eagle. Thanks for watching.